Assalamu alaikum, this is Dr. Mona Ladrisi, author of the Muslim Narcissist book and empowerment coach for Muslims. In today's podcast, I'll be answering some questions that I received from people who listened to the previous podcast about the narcissistic man-child and the narcissistic woman-child, and I wanted to answer them here because I really feel that the answers could benefit everybody. So I haven't finished the series about the narc man-child and the narc woman-child yet. There is still more to come, but I thought that it was important to address these points before I move on to next week's podcast, inshallah. So just before I jump in, as always, you know what I'm going to say? I'd like to kindly ask you to like the podcast if it's helped you. Do share it with people whom you feel could benefit from it. Do subscribe to the channel or subscribe to the newsletter so that you can be notified when I drop a new podcast. And if you need one-to-one counselling and coaching, my email is below, or you can go straight to the link that I've provided and you can read all the information there about the sessions and programs and all the fees. And I'll get back to you as soon as possible with available dates and times. All right. And of course, if you haven't read the Muslim Narcissist book, do grab a copy because it offers all the foundational information that these podcasts are based off. Okay, so let's jump in, shall we? The first question is, why would an innocent narc man-child fall in love with a problematic narc woman-child? So when this person said innocent, they meant between the ages of 18 to 22 before a man-child turns narcissistic, okay? So he would already have narcissistic traits. However, this will be their most innocent period of time in their early adulthood. And when they meet a narcissistic woman-child, they won't know she's a narcissistic woman-child. Okay, they have no idea what they're getting themselves into and how manipulative all her love bombing is. Because remember, this is his first real experience of women outside the family. And he's already chosen someone who is very much like his mother. It's only the empathic son who will choose a woman who isn't like his mother. He will go for the opposite. He will go for a woman who doesn't have narcissistic traits. But a man who is more inclined to narcissism will gravitate towards a woman who is like his mother. So the problematic traits that arise in this new woman are brushed under the carpet because he's very familiar with them. So, for example, if his mother is very vain and arrogant and dramatic and she shouts or screams and, she does all those things, and he sees the same traits in this new woman he's in love with, he will normalize it in his mind because this is what he knows women to be like. This is what he's accustomed to. It's what he was raised with. His sisters might be the same. So if he's got narcissistic sisters who are very close to their mother, they will also be like her. So all the women in his life have the same type of character. And he won't get on with the empathic sister if he has one. Okay, and the same goes vice versa with the woman child when she's, meeting new people. But the difference between the man child and the woman child is the woman child will go for someone like the codependent parent. Okay, so if she's narcissistic, she will go for someone like her codependent father rather than the toxic mother. Because it's actually the codependent woman or the codependent man who gravitate towards people like the toxic parent rather than the codependent parent. Okay, so narcissists always gravitate towards the codependent parent because they need someone to control. And codependents are the opposite. And if narcissists want to go for other narcissists, they would be overt and not covert. Okay, because covert have an obsession with control and power and authority. Overt narcissists have this as well, but they can be with other narcissists because these people don't hide who they are. Okay, so when people hide who they are, they tend to go for the opposite type of person because they are in predatory mode. And when you're in predatory mode, you're going to prey on the vulnerable. So a wolf will always prey on the sheep, not the other way round. And this is why the predator has to be hidden, because if the predator is not hidden, then catching prey will be very difficult. So if you're looking for a narcissistic partner and you are overtly narcissistic yourself, you're going to want to be around other wolves. Okay, you're going to want that. But when you are covertly narcissistic and you don't want to be with another narcissist because you know you will not have the control and the power that you want over them because they know your game, you're going to pretend to be someone you're not, to catch the person whom you can control. So everyone in the early stages of adulthood don't know any of this, right? Unless you've got a parent who teaches you, or a teacher, or aunties, uncles, you're not going to know, right? You're not going to know what signs to look out for. And everyone will meet a narcissist in their life. It is guaranteed. And that can be in the workplace, at school, at university, college, wherever you are. You're going to have an experience with at least one narcissist in your life. And the majority of these experiences will come in early adulthood. And this is why the majority of first marriages do not work out, because people are still naive to the evil of the world. That's getting much worse. And unfortunately, because of a lack of information, people fall into so many traps that they could have avoided with the right education. And this is why I wrote the book, so that it can help people, especially teenagers, start to differentiate between good and bad people. Okay, it's really important that teenagers from the age of 15 or 16 start reading the book, because if you can't teach them about this, then at least the book will equip them with the right information they need to avoid problematic relationships. Because we really have a serious problem right now. We have an epidemic of narcissists in the world, especially man children and women children. Okay, we have loads of malignant ones as well, but the problematic and the most dangerous ones are the man children and women children, because these are the types that break the hearts of empathic people, and they lose the motivation to do good in the world, right? They lose the motivation to do so much because they've got so much potential. And after dealing with a man child like this, or a woman child, they can lose all love for life. They really can. And if these are the ones who destroy the empaths in the world, then these are the ones to look out for. Okay, and it starts from a very young age. So boys in particular need to be raised in a way where they are aware of the manipulations of women. They are aware of their problems and their childhood traumas, and they are aware that they are attracting women like their mothers who are toxic and narcissistic. They need to be aware of all this from a very young age so that they can avoid falling into the huge problem that doesn't end. Okay, it's a problem that doesn't end. Once they go through that one heartbreak and they don't know how to deal with that heartbreak, it's a long, slippery slope from there. And there's another quick point that I wanted to mention, which is a lot of young men in particular, okay, they will gravitate towards women who have nice families. So in their first experience, when they see that a woman has a nice father or a nice mother, she could be narcissistic, she could be codependent, she could be anything. But it's her family that draws him to her, because he's never seen a family like this. Okay, there are narcissists who come from families that look very well put together. And it's usually because the narcissistic parent in that family wants to look like mother or father of the year, especially when strangers are around. Okay, and if it's a codependent mother or father, again, they will try their best to provide a loving environment for their children so that the narcissism that comes from that parent, the toxic one, it's mellowed out a little bit. Okay, it becomes more bearable for everyone. So the empathic codependent parent will make more effort to make family life more enjoyable for the children. And this is especially the case when they have their friends round. And of course, you know, if a person has an empathic parent or two empathic parents, then a man-child or a woman-child will both be in awe of this family. Like, wow, they're so loving, they're so kind to each other, they're so caring, and I love this environment. I always want to be in this environment. And that's why you'll find that they love spending so much time with this person's family, because they are so different from their own. They see their family as being even more toxic in comparison to the family of this new person. And the effort that this man-child or woman-child makes to please the family is genuine, because they really want to be a part of it. They want acceptance. Okay, they want to belong in this better environment. And they want to leave their old environment behind, their toxic environment behind. And so they become attached to the family as well. Not in all cases, but this is the majority of cases. Because they feel that they are being treated really nicely by someone's dad, someone's mum. They feel like they are now a part of a family. And not just any family, a real family. Okay, something they have been missing. So even if the person they've fallen in love with is problematic, narcissistic, shows problematic traits, if they come from a family like that, it will cause the man-child or woman-child to tolerate this narcissistic individual because of the sense of belonging they now feel, especially when a young man finds a role model in her father. If he's codependent or if he's empathic, he's going to become very attached to her father. And sometimes a woman-child can become attached to a codependent man's mother because she actually finds love and acceptance there. And she receives a different type of nurturing love from the codependent or empathic mother that she doesn't receive from her own toxic, narcissistic mother. Okay, so her toxic mother is not going to bake her cakes and give her those tight, warm hugs. And she realizes, I like this. I like being around this woman. But because her mother has got her claws into her, she wouldn't allow her to belong to another family where a codependent woman has more of a hold over her because of the love she gives her. The toxic mother never allows it. She always sabotages an environment that is actually good for her daughter because she gets jealous of the codependent mother giving her daughter the love she needs. So she sees it like the codependent mother is trying to get her claws into her, trying to gain control, when that's not the case. It's because the narcissistic mother is looking at her in that same way that she would look at herself. So she believes everyone's out there to take her daughter away, her trophy. So she sabotages a good environment that her daughter enters. And that's why these wonderful experiences don't last. Okay, with women, children especially. Because if they have a controlling narcissistic mother, it's very difficult for young girls to get out of that grip. Okay, it's very difficult. And when it comes to young men, sometimes their toxic mothers do the same. They get jealous when they see that their son prefers his new wife's mother because she's loving and kind and caring. She gets jealous and she starts to sabotage his marriage as well, or his early relationship. They don't like it. So belonging to a nice, loving, healthy, good family is actually very important to most, if not all, innocent man children. And it's also important for women children, but they don't actively look for it like the man child does. Okay, sometimes the woman child will fall into a situation like that and find herself actually quite liking the experience, whereas a man child is drawn from the beginning to a woman who has a nice family, and especially if she has a nice father. Okay, now in the beginning, when he's still in his innocent stage, a man child will gravitate towards a woman who has a loving mother, because she will be the substitute for the mother he never had. Okay, so if a woman has a loving mother, nice, kind, nurturing, caring, in his mind, she will be the substitute. Now, when it all goes wrong and he loses the trust of the woman he fell in love with. And when her family back her up and they stand with her against him when she plays her victim story, after she betrays him, discards him, treats him badly, whatever it is she does, that's when his heart breaks twice. So it will break the first time after what she does to him, and it will break the second time after he is also discarded by the family that welcomed him, the family that treated him like he was a member of their family for a long time, the family that treated him so well. Okay, they break his heart when they discard him in the same way she did, because he will feel that no one's loyalty lies with him. No one will side with him and back him up and all of that. I mean, even his own father might laugh at him, right? For the marriage not working out or the relationship not working out. His siblings might tell him, oh, you're stupid anyway. There was no way you were going to keep a woman like that. And he will feel the injustice because it will be clear that she's the one in the wrong. They already know she's problematic, but they choose to stand by her because she's family. And this hurts him a lot, right? This hurts him a lot. And this is the point where he will make his subconscious decision that all families are toxic, all women are toxic, people can't be trusted, no one has your back, and no one is loyal, and no one is fair, no one is just. So they make this decision and they start to look for women for the wrong reasons. Okay, so now they're not looking at the suitability of a family and the suitability of a future mother-in-law who could be a substitute. That would be, a somewhat healthy substitute for him if he's looking for a maternal figure. So if his mother's toxic, then it makes sense as to why he would gravitate towards his mother-in-law for maternal love, okay? Because many mother-in-laws do like to pamper their son-in-laws, okay? They do baby them, and that's fine, no problem, because she already has that maternal role anyway. He's not turning her into someone she's not. However, because now he doesn't trust anybody, he decides to just do what's best for himself, and he no longer wants love and romance. He no longer wants any of that, or a nice, kind family. He will look for a woman who is maternal, who can look after him, who can do everything for him. And love and romance, I'll get that on the side, here and there, no problem. It's not his priority. Now he believes that a woman is meant to be used. The same way he felt used, he's going to do that to other people, and that's when he starts learning how to manipulate people to get what he wants out of the situation with minimum scratches. Okay, he doesn't want to feel that pain again. He doesn't want that disappointment again. He wants to get out of a situation with minimum damage. So when you look at it from that perspective, you can understand why. Because if at the end of the day, people are going to side with the oppressor and the one who is wrong, why do I need to bother investing into any of my relationships? Why do I need to bother investing in my in-laws? That's why you find the man-child doesn't care about your family. They really don't make effort. They don't care. The woman-child as well, not that bothered about your family, because they know that when loyalty is needed, they will not find it with them. Loyalty will be with their own blood. Okay, that's how they see it now. So they don't invest in any relationship. They don't trust anyone. That's how it starts. Okay, this is why the beginning part of someone's adult life is really important in shaping how you see people, how you see relationships, how you see marriage, how you see men, how you see women. It starts from there. And when I say it starts from there, I mean in your first relationship with someone, in your first romantic relationship. It starts way before that, of course, because you witness as a child your parents' relationship, their marriage and all of that. But when you get into a relationship yourself and you experience that heartbreak firsthand, it can completely distort the way you see everyone from that bad experience. You paint everyone with the same brush and you go through life bulldozing everyone who's good for you and bulldozing all the opportunities you have in your life to be a better person, to be a masculine man, to be a feminine woman. You start bulldozing over everything. You sabotage everything because you're still in pain from that trauma, from your first love or your first marriage or relationship. And the majority of men especially don't ever get over it. They don't ever get over it. I've got clients in their 50s and until now, they're still crying over what happened in their early 20s. There are people they still can't forget, that they still have nightmares about. And they've taken all that negativity, all that trauma into 3 or 4 marriages, 3 or 4 families. You know, loads of these people have been in and out of so many relationships until they get to their 50s. So it's really important that if you can relate to this, what I'm saying, that you reach out to someone for help because you haven't processed that trauma. You haven't been able to give that experience a janazah. Okay, it's still there. You're still digging it up. Give it a janazah, learn from it, move on from it. You've got to move on from it. Otherwise, you will allow that one experience in your life to dictate the rest of your life. Okay, you're going to do that to yourself if you do not get help for that trauma you know you're not over yet. You know it. Okay, if you're a narcissistic man-child or woman-child, you're listening to this today, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So don't ruin the rest of your life by choosing not to deal with that trauma. Okay, when you make sense of everything you've been through, I promise you, you will get better and your life will get better and your outlook on life and religion and relationships will be completely different. It will be completely different. And the longer you delay this, the more of your life you're wasting. You're wasting your precious youth on an experience you were only meant to learn from. Okay, Allah allowed you to have that experience for you to learn from it and move on from it. Not have PTSD for the rest of your life over it. Not for you to be depressed all your life because of it. Not for you to turn into a narcissistic abuser because of it. Always remember that was your choice. The person you are today is the person you chose to be. Okay, you chose to be like this because it was the easiest way for you to get through life with this mindset and you being the way you are. Because you're going to meet people in your life who will disappoint you. You will come across so many men who will say to you, "You're just like my son," and then actions prove otherwise. You'll find so many women who say, "You're just like my daughter." But when the time comes for that to be tested, they always let you down. You are never treated like their daughter. Their son comes first. Right? The son who abused you, yeah, he comes first. Oh, you'll get plenty of that. Plenty of people who will disappoint you. You'll get plenty of husbands who will leave you after they told you, "I'm not going anywhere." And you'll get plenty of wives out there who will betray you after they swore on their life that they have no one and will never have eyes for anyone but you. People will disappoint you. And it comes from having very high expectations of people who already show you red flags. They've shown you these red flags from the beginning that they can't be trusted, that there's something not right about them. When you place too much hope and expectations on those same people, you're going to get let down. You're going to get disappointed. And then what's even worse than that is that you allow them to dictate how the rest of your life looks like. Okay, because of one woman who betrayed you, you now treat all women like they're vile. Because of that one man who abused you, you are now treating every man like he can't be trusted. No, it doesn't work like that. But you've allowed that to happen. Okay? You've allowed it to happen because you've clung on to that trauma you never got over. You never processed it. You never understood it. So I just wanted to say that to you because too many people are in this trap. Now this takes me on to the next question, which is, why does the family of the narc woman child always try to get involved and fix the marriage when they know and can see she's problematic with all the evidence as well that I have provided for them? It's a simple answer. They don't want to deal with her. She's a burden for them as well. They don't want her back. And you'll always see this with a father who is super nice to you when you are married to his narcissistic daughter. He will go above and beyond for you. He will be so kind, so nice to you. Her mother will be too. Everyone in the family will somewhat be quite good to you. And the reason why is because they need to keep you sweet so you never return her. They don't want to deal with her. She gave them a hard time before she married you. She's promiscuous. She's hard to control. She's hard to discipline. She's rude. She's rebellious. No father wants to deal with that. So when you take her off their hands, you are put on a pedestal. That's why her family love you so much. Okay, that's why in the beginning they give you so much praise, so much respect, so much love. And this goes for women as well. Okay, if you are married to a man-child, you'll find that his family really like you. They put you on a pedestal because you've taken him off their hands. They don't want to deal with him anymore. He's a burden for them. They can't stand him. You've done them a huge favor by marrying him, and he's now your problem. Okay, now that he's your problem, they have to keep you sweet because they want you to keep him for as long as you possibly can. Forever would be wonderful, but as long as you possibly can is good enough. Okay, but when you start to tell them, I've had enough, he's driving me crazy, he's so rude, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, he's abusing me or she's abusing me, the family start to tell you the good things about him or her. But he's such a lovely person. She cooks very well. You know, she's always cooking meals for you. Look how beautiful she is. Look how educated he is. Look, he's got a fantastic job. You know, before you, there were lots of women who wanted to marry him. Before you, there were lots of men who wanted to marry her. Did you know that I turned down 2 men because I liked you the most? And they were from good families, and they were rich, and they could have given her a very good life. But I chose you. Why did I choose you? Because you're a Hafid, and you're kind, and I know that you are the best person to treat my daughter well. You are the best person who could take care of her. And she liked you. She said, no, father, this is the man I want to be with. They guilt trip you. They start to play with your head. They start to guilt trip you into staying. And you start thinking, oh, you know what? I should be grateful that I have such a wonderful father-in-law, wonderful mother-in-law. I should be grateful that I have this support system. And that, yeah, maybe I am the one who is lucky. She did accept me when she could have had another husband. He did accept me when he could have married someone more beautiful. Now, the truth that they're not telling you is that the men who came to propose before didn't like her. They clocked on to something not being right with the family and they didn't pursue her. And I say that because any father of a narcissistic daughter will want his daughter married to anyone, okay, to be rid of her burden. They don't like the burden. So they will cling on to the first good man who comes along who can relieve them of that burden because they don't want the responsibility of this wild daughter whom they can't contain. Now, if she has a highly narcissistic father and she's not the golden child, she is a burden to him, he'll get her married to anybody. Anybody. He doesn't care if the man is good, bad, psychopath, malignant, whatever. He doesn't care. He just wants to wash his hands off the responsibility of looking after his daughter long term. Okay, so they just marry them to anyone. They don't care. They really don't care who it is. But if a woman has a codependent father, his conscience will eat at him if he doesn't at least make sure that the man she marries is a nice guy, right? And that's why you become attached to the family because, you know, you're like, oh, they're just so nice. You know, I feel guilty. He's been so good to me. How can I divorce his daughter? He's been great with me. Yeah, he's been great with you for a reason. He's been great with you for a reason. However, and I'll tell you why it's for a reason. Because when you insist on a divorce, when you insist on leaving and you say, look, I've had enough, your daughter has driven me insane. Your daughter is making me lose the will to live. When you really put your foot down, you see their nasty side. Okay, that's when you see their nasty side. If they are genuine people and they know exactly who their daughter is and they know exactly what you're talking about, but they won't admit it because that means they would have deceived you from the beginning, right? They would have deceived you by not telling you what she's like. They would have sold you a wonderful picture of her and told you all the good things about her, not telling you all the insane things she's done to them. Oh, they're not going to tell you any of those things because if they do, she's never going to get married. She's never going to get married and they will never be free from her. So they have to keep you sweet. When it's genuine, when the family is genuine and their love is genuine, they will understand. And they'll be God-fearing with you when you decide to leave the relationship because they know what she's like and they've seen nothing but good from you. Okay, you've always treated them well. So there has to come a point where they say, it's fine. Khalas, qadar Allah. We loved you. You were a son to us or a daughter to us. And I understand that you weren't able to carry on. She's difficult. I understand that my daughter is a difficult woman. And if you really feel like you can't do this, it's okay. You have my support. And, let's just sort out what we're going to do about the kids and make this a peaceful separation. That's what they'll do if they're genuine and genuinely good people. But if they're not genuine, if all this time they were just keeping you sweet, as soon as you put your foot down and you want to leave, the family will turn against you. You will see their nasty side. The father will turn against you, that nice father who was always really good to you. All of a sudden you'll see, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, what face am I looking at? You'll see his demonic side come out. And you'll see the demonic side in the mother come out. Sometimes the mother's happy for you. If the mother is a good person and the father isn't, she'll be happy you're getting out. She'll congratulate you in her head because she'll be thinking, wow, he got away or she got away. Sometimes a mother knows her son is so problematic and doesn't even deserve you. So when you put your foot down, she actually has respect for you. She actually congratulates you in her head. She says, that is a woman. That's a real woman. She knows what she's worth. I didn't know what I was worth. She does, and she feels happy for you. Even if it's her own son, she may never say it to you, but she'll feel it if she's codependent. But a narcissistic mother or father will turn nasty, okay? Their faces will go black and they will start threatening you with court, or they may actually go and file a case against you in court and they will be like, well, if you don't want our daughter, then you don't want us, then we will start divorce proceedings. And they go heavy and they take away your kids and they will participate in her taking away your rights, scamming you out of money, out of your house, out of your assets. And when it comes to your children, you never would have thought that this particular family would ever side with their daughter when it comes to taking away the children from you, but they do it. Okay, the father might step in and take away the children and he'll support her with that to teach you a lesson, to punish you because he's angry that she now has to go back to them. He is angry that she is now his responsibility again and that he couldn't rely on you to take over and complete the job. Okay, he's angry and anger comes out. That's how you know the difference between genuine and not genuine. Okay, if they turn against you, they never respected you from the beginning. It was all a show, all a circus. And they were simply taking advantage of your kindness and you being God-fearing because they know that someone like this will be patient with their daughter. Someone who isn't kind or God-fearing won't last a week with her. They know this very well, okay? And a red flag will be if you go to her father and you tell him, I don't want your daughter anymore, I'm sorry, it's just not working out. He might cry, he might beg you, he might get on his knees and beg you to not divorce her. This is a huge red flag. That means that he knows she's so problematic she couldn't get married again easily. Why? Why? Ask yourself why. Because any good father will be happy to have his daughter back. He will say, if you don't want her, I want her. and she'll always have a home with me, because he's portraying that he loves her so much, right? So if you love her so much, then why can't she come back to you if her marriage doesn't work out? Why is it that you care too much about what people think? Oh, she's a divorcee, or no one will want her. Who cares if no one wants her? Who cares if people talk about her in society? I'm her father, and she'll always have a home with me as long as I'm alive. So if he's not like that, then it's a huge red flag. He's hiding something from you. And this applies to women too. Okay, when you see your father-in-law or your mother-in-law beg you to not divorce her son. Beg you. Well, if he's so great, if he's so handsome, if he's so wonderful, well, he could have women falling at his feet. What's the problem? I'm sure he's got lots of options. No. Oh, no. She knows he's not going to last with anyone. He needs a woman who's God-fearing and patient and who can be manipulated with religion to stay with him long term. Because she doesn't want to bear the humiliation and she doesn't want him back either. You know, it's a huge crisis for a narcissistic mother and a codependent mother to have their narcissistic son back at home, especially if he's got nowhere to go. Do you know how much grief he's going to give them because of his depression and his bad mood that his marriage didn't work out? Even though it didn't work out because of him, he will still take out all his anger, all his frustration at himself, his self-hatred, all of that will come out on his family. And they're going to deal with the brunt of that. And that's why they don't want them back. Especially the men. The men are the worst when they go back to their families. They treat their families like trash because they are so angry at what's happened, and they now enter a new cycle with their family, and it's abusive. And they can't wait to get rid of him again. And that's why you've got to be careful, because a lot of family members will try to get their brothers and sons married off very quickly because they can't deal with his depression at home after his previous marriage didn't work out. So they will sell you a victim story about him. Oh, his wife left him, his wife did this, his wife did that, to make you feel sorry for him and to make it look like he's not the problem. When someone sells you someone hard, red flag. Okay, when someone looks like they are really trying to market someone to you, red flag. Be careful. They want to get rid of that person. They don't want to deal with that person. Now, the overt narcissistic father or mother who has a daughter in particular, who is the golden child, right? She's the one who's very beautiful. She's the one who's outgoing and social and all of that. If you have enough of her and you want to divorce her, this father or this mother will be happy to have her back because she benefits them. She's a huge source of supply for them. So they know, they have no fear of her getting married again because of her beauty, right? Because of her status, because of her wealth. They know they can easily replace you. So they welcome her back, right? My princess can come back to me. Don't worry about him. Ditch him, divorce him. Come back, you can come back. Come back to your house and you can live a life as a queen, as a princess, as whatever you want. Because it's her father's opportunity to get her married now to someone richer, someone better. Okay, there's always supply in it for him, and there's always supply in it for the mother. So the overt narcissist who has a princess daughter whom gets divorced has no problem taking her back. The same happens with a son who is handsome. He's a doctor, lawyer, surgeon, something like that. And he gets divorced. Oh, the mother's too happy to have him back. Too happy. That's her baby back, right? She doesn't care. She's got him all to herself again. So when you're overt, you don't care. If they get divorced, you're just happy to have them back, and they can be fuel and narcissistic supply in other areas. So they don't feel like they're losing out, and they don't care what people say, because in their minds, it's easy for this person to get married again, right? My son, he's a top surgeon, and he's good looking. He can find a wife tomorrow. I'm not worried about him. My daughter, she's so beautiful. She's an influencer. At the click of a finger, she'll get men lining up to marry her. They're not worried. And this is why they don't mind taking them back, because they can recycle the supply elsewhere. I mean, if you look at celebrities, look how many times they get married, because they know they're beautiful. They know they're famous, they're rich, they're wealthy, right? So it doesn't matter to them how many times they get married and divorced, because they know they're in high demand regardless. Even if they enter their 50s and 60s, there will still be so many people who will chase them down to marry them. Because being with someone wealthy, famous and beautiful all in one go is the ultimate trophy for any overt narcissist. Okay, so there are plenty of people who like that. And if you're married to someone, or you were married to a woman who came from a family of overt narcs, they won't spend 5 minutes crying over a divorce. They just move on very quickly. And before you know it, her father's already got her married to someone else within a very short period of time. And that's just how it is. That's how it goes. However, if this overt narc father has another daughter who isn't very beautiful, she's not glamorous, she's not social, then she will be a burden to him. And she may remain unmarried even until her 40s and 50s. And she will have a very toxic relationship with her mother, who desperately wants her to get married, but it's just not working out for her. Because the type of men she's interested in are only interested in her very beautiful and glamorous sister. And so in these families, there's often a lot of jealousy between the sisters for this reason. Now, moving on to the next question. A woman asked me, you said in your last podcast that man children are passive and they like to be led by women. However, my husband is a red pill man child, wanting to be the boss all the time, but only provides basic minimum whenever he has a job, and he always makes life hell. What type of man child is this? So this is a great question, but the answer isn't very straightforward. Okay, so at baseline, every man-child is passive and wants to be led because they don't know how to be a real man. So they are essentially children in adult men's bodies. Okay, that's who they all are at their core. Now, there will be different types of man-children as a result of what they believe to be alpha masculinity. Now, some men don't look for it at all, and they live the rest of their lives as very feminine women who want to be pampered and mothered and coddled. They want to put lip gloss on. They want to do their eyebrows. And yes, the majority of them will be closet gay. Okay, you will find men who have no interest whatsoever in actually being a real man. They're happy being feminine. They're happy being closet gay. They are happy being a pretty boy and getting everyone fall at their feet. Okay, you see so many toxic codependent women who chase these men to the moon and back, even though they don't have anything alpha about them. And they have both their ears pierced, they wear jewelry, they wear feminine perfume. Yeah, those guys are a completely different category on their own. They are man children to the max, but these are the guys who love to be mothered more than anyone else. And the two reasons why they will not come out as being gay is number one, because of society and what people will say, what people will do, how people will treat them and all of that. And number two, because they want female supply, because that's where they're going to get the maternal energy from. So if they were to come out as gay, women won't be interested in them, and they can't get maternal energy from men. So they have to hide their bisexuality or their homosexuality so that they can get supply from women too. Okay, these are the two reasons why they would never ever admit, even if you catch them out, even if you catch them watching gay porn and all that kind of stuff, they will not admit it to you. They will not admit it. Sometimes the closet gay will actually be someone you didn't really suspect. Okay, they might throw you off guard when it comes to how they feel about their sexuality, but this isn't something that's been with them since teenage years. It's something that they developed in later adulthood, so they don't look very feminine, but they gravitate towards men who do look feminine. Okay, so that's one type of man-child. Now, the second type of man-child will be the one who is happy with being led. And this type of guy is usually a Western guy. because he grew up in a country where feminism was the norm, okay, where empowerment amongst women is seen as something to be encouraged. So when a Western man, like from Europe, Australia, America, Canada, when he gets with a woman who has a lot of maternal energy and she's a boss babe and she's got a high income and all of that, when she's very independent, he gravitates towards her because he sees her as someone who can look after him, even if he doesn't have a job, even if he doesn't have much to offer apart from his looks and his youth and him being hands-on, with kids and being handy around the house and all of that. He's happy to be led by her, and he's happy to be bossed around by her, and he is happy to be completely under her control if he's getting money, if he's getting everything he needs from her without him having to do anything with his masculinity. She's happy with who he is. And this is very short term. Before she gets sick of him, she starts to miss alpha masculine presence in her life. She starts to disrespect him because now she feels a lot more masculine than him. So it never works out. These relationships never work out. But these are the types of men, if they are raised in a very feminist environment, who are okay being led by women. And a lot of Muslim men will actually take advantage of this when they want to go 50-50 with a woman, or if they want to get away with not fulfilling their duties properly towards her, they will do it in the name of feminism. Okay, they will say, well, we live in a feminist country, we live in this environment now where women empowerment is important and we're trying to support that. But actually, this guy, he's just trying to get away with not having to provide for you in full. So he's using the feminist card when it suits him. Okay, so when it comes to other Islamic rights that are owed to him, he'll never sacrifice those. He'll never compromise. But when it comes to you standing down on your rights because he's trying to be feminist for you, for your sake, so you can have your freedom and your career and everything, he'll use the feminist card here. A lot of man children do this. Okay, they'll be feminist when it suits them. So he'll support you to the max with your career. But hey, I want half your income and I want a percentage of your profits from your business because you need to be contributing to the bills and you need to be contributing to the rent and holidays and this and that and this and that. And a lot of women are scammed by this. They're scammed. Okay, I'll say it again. Scammed. Because these men know exactly how to manipulate you by making you feel lucky that he's allowing you to do those things in return for him gaining financially from you. So the one who gains the most is actually him. Okay, he's the one who gains. So in his mind, this is how he gets to be a man in the relationship. Because with your income, you guys can live in a nicer house. And who does that look good on? It looks good on him because everyone thinks he's the one providing. And you find this out if you eventually do get divorced. You will realise that he would go around telling everyone, I pay for everything. I have done this. I'm the one who bought the house when it's you who bought the house. Or you who paid for the majority of that mortgage. Or you who paid for that car. You who paid for the private tuition for the kids. And he's going around telling everyone that it's him. So this is why they favour women who work. Okay, a lot of these Muslim guys who are covert, narcissistic man-children want a woman who works for this reason. Okay, so if he's not completely Western and totally fine with being led, he will be a guy who is fine with you pursuing the career you already had before you met him on the basis that you give him at least half of your income so that he can look like a man in public, right? He can look like a man in front of other people because this is the only way he knows how to be a man, okay? It's a Del Boy job. It's a cut and paste scrapbook job of being a man, okay? That's all he knows. He wants to cut every corner to get to the point where he can look like a man in public. And he may add to this by going to the gym to look macho with his muscles. He may grow a big beard. He may do all of these things. And at the end of the day, his wife is the one who is funding most of his expenses, especially if she earns more than him. And he's telling her the only way you can continue having this job is if you pay your way. Now, the third type of man-child will be the red pill man-child. Now, he will either be like this from childhood because of the way he was raised, or he would have come across the red pill ideology as a young adult. So the ones who had it from childhood are the boys who were raised to believe by their mothers and their fathers and society that because they are born a biological male, they are automatically put on a pedestal, respected, honoured, served, and celebrated. Okay? However, being a man is something that you are taught as you grow up. You don't have it as a biological privilege from when you're born. Okay, so being a man is something that you learn through experience, through hardships and knowledge and education and being mentored by the right people. Okay, so in order for a boy to become a qawwam, he has to go through many stages in his life to get him there. And one of the main reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has differentiated males from men is because not all males are going to be qawwamun, protectors, leaders and providers. Okay, al-qawwamun are the men who have the ability to shoulder all their responsibilities with excellent character. So they're not tyrannical, they're not beastly, right? They're not harsh. They know how to deal with women, and they also know how to maintain law and order. Okay, they know how to maintain boundaries. They know how to protect their family. They know how to go out and earn money and provide. They know how to do all of these things. They know how to be protective. So the qawwamun are the men who are respected in society. They are considered to be the real men. However, there are many, many, many men who believe, like I said, that just because they are men, that they have to be put on a pedestal, even if they are not qawwamun. He might be a druggie. He could be an alcoholic. He could be jobless all the time. He could be lazy. He could be a porn addict. He could be someone who chases women, but he wants the status of the qawwam. He wants to be treated like a real man, like a qawwam. And when a wife does not, she gets abuse. Okay, so for example, you get a man who is unemployed. He can't be bothered to find a job because his wife has a good income. Maybe she's a doctor, a solicitor. She's got a good income. So he's very lazy about finding a job because he's comfortable being dependent on her. However, he wants her to treat him as if he is the qawwam. He wants the utmost respect. He wants obedience at all times. Do you know how difficult it is for a woman to show respect and obedience to a man like this? It's extremely difficult because you can't take him seriously. You're the one looking after him. You're the one providing for him. You are the qawwama in your marriage. And the only thing that's left is for you to just grow a moustache and a beard, so when you look in the mirror, you're reminded of it. And he has the audacity to abuse you when you don't put him on a pedestal. He has the audacity to abuse you when you don't lie for him in public and say that he is the qawwam, he's providing everything, he's a protector, he's a leader, he's an amazing father, he's an amazing husband. Oh, if you don't lie for him in public, you'll get abused for that as well. And you'll be told that you were not raised properly by your parents to respect men. That you don't know how to treat men, you don't know how to honour men, but he's not looking at himself. But I promise you, these men hate themselves. They really hate themselves deep inside because they know that they're good for nothing. Wallahi, they know they're good for nothing. And that's why they're angry all the time. That's why they're so abusive. They take out their inner hate, they take it out on the family because of how frustrated they are with themselves, but they don't know how to be a man. No one ever taught them. No one ever taught them how to be a man. They just believe that it's their biological right to act that way without having to earn respect or earn obedience or earn anything. Okay, yes, when you get married, you are to obey your husband, but it's much easier to obey someone when they are someone you respect. And when this person takes care of you and you can look up to them, they inspire you, right? You feel safe with them. It's easy to obey someone like this and to be submissive and show compliance to them. However, when someone is a complete clown and they want to be treated like a qawwam, it's not possible. That's why you have so many marital problems, and this is why so many of these marital problems escalate into physical violence, because he can't take it that he's not a real man, and the only way he can show his masculinity is by turning malignant. This is why a lot of man children turn malignant, because now he has to show you his masculine side by physically abusing you to show you his strength. And this is why a lot of men beat their wives, because this is the only way they feel masculine in their marriages. They're not doing anything about their situation. They are not going out to find a job. They're not getting therapy that they need. They're not going out to improve themselves as people, self-development, all of that. Oh, they're doing none of that. They just want you to treat them like a real man without them having to do anything to earn it. And when you don't, they turn malignant. And when they turn malignant, physical abuse takes place. Okay, it starts with verbal and it quickly escalates to physical abuse. A lot of these women are dealing with very vile Muslim men because of this problem, because they were never taught how to be men. No one ever taught them how to be a qawwam. And they feel lost and they feel stuck. So the only way they can feel like men is by abusing those who are vulnerable, because it gives them power, it gives them control. It's very sadistic, but this is the only way they can satisfy that part of them that is alpha in their eyes. So they have to fake it, right? They have to fake being the man because they don't know how to be a man. They've got to pretend, and the wife has to pretend, and the kids have to pretend that dad is a great guy, dad is a good father, but all of them don't respect him. No one in the family respects this man, and that's where his anger gets fueled. He gets triggered all the time because he knows no one respects him. So he gets angrier, and he gets more violent, and he gets more abusive. And it just turns into a whole complete chaotic mess. This is what I mean when I say to you that a man-child can turn malignant with time when he feels his masculinity has been butchered. It's his problem. It's his own problem. It's not your problem. But because of the way you start to disrespect him, you don't have any feelings for him anymore. You're starting to be repulsed by him. You don't want to sleep with him because of, of the lack of respect. This feeling of emasculation is what makes him malignant, because you constantly remind him of who he isn't. And when I say that, I mean this. You're the one who shows him that you are a better man than he is. So you are the one being the qawwama in your marriage. So to humble you, to break you down, to knock the alpha masculinity out of you, which you are now using for survival, he physically assaults you. You see, to bring you back down to his level, because you can't be more masculine than him. He might have really liked it in the beginning, but over time, he starts to see himself as pathetic, because my wife is a better man than I am. Oh, I've got to knock that out of her. What's the best way of doing it? Physical assault. That's why they do it. Now, when it comes to the young men who come across the red pill ideology that's mixed with Islam, right, the da'wah bros who keep promoting this ideology, when it comes to them, they learn how to manipulate young women with Islam, okay, to get what they want. So sometimes these men will come across as being alpha because of how they look. So they are taught that the most important thing about them and the way they present themselves is to look alpha masculine. And that's why red pill Muslim men, they love the beard, right? They love the muscles. They love the shaved head. They love this. They love that, because it makes them look more alpha than they really are. These are guys who have no idea what healthy masculinity is. They lean more towards toxic masculinity because, again, they're cutting corners with this. Okay, they're cutting corners. If I can look alpha masculine, then it will be easy for me to attract the young feminine girls. And a lot of people get trapped with these types of men. You get married to them, and then you realise, I'm with a clown. I'm with a complete tyrannical buffoon who has no idea how to be a man. He doesn't know how to lead. He doesn't know how to provide properly. And when I say he doesn't know how to provide, he's always a basic minimum guy. Okay, because these guys will try to get away with the maximum they can in everything. Okay, everything. Because they are stingy and they don't know how to be generous. They don't understand that being generous is a part of healthy masculinity. And when it comes to being protective, they are overly jealous, overly strict, controlling, suffocating. Again, it's toxic. They don't understand what it is to be protective. They don't understand what it is to be a leader. For them, a leader is someone who issues commands and they are obeyed immediately. Okay, they want to be obeyed so that they feel like a leader. They feel powerful. You know, they flex their muscles. I'm the king of the house. I'm the emir of the house. Boom, boom, fee, fi, fo, fum. That's all they need to say, right? That's all that's missing of them saying, because that's how they act. And if you don't obey immediately, if they ask you to do something and you're still sitting on that sofa, be prepared for some sort of punishment. Be prepared. And that's after they look at you and they ask you, did you not hear me? Are you still sitting on that sofa? I've asked you to do something, now get up and do it. These are the kind of guys you're going to be married to if they're into red pill ideology. It gets to their head. They want permission for everything. They want permission for breathing. And everything you do is haram. Everything you do is a fitna. Everything you do is wrong. They criticize everything. The way you pray, the way you wear your hijab, the way you do this, the way you do that. They isolate you. They, like I said, they love to control you. They love to be the one who has the most power over you. To them, that's what Qawwam is. So they are taught about Qawwamun, being protectors, leaders and providers, but in that way, in the toxic way. And how do they reel you in? Oh yeah, with those good looks. And them being in the masjid. And them being a da'wah bro. And them reading Quran. Or being a nasheed artist. Or always being in these charity events. And that's how they'll reel you in. And you fall in love with the pious facade. Right? MashaAllah, this guy, I met him in the university ISOC. Amazing. Or you met him at a Palestine protest. MashaAllah, he's always doing things for Gaza. He's always fundraising for Palestine. And you think, yeah, that's the guy I want. Sometimes he gives Islamic talks, or he does TikTok videos about hadiths and Quran verses, or he sometimes leads the khutbah in the local masjid or the university mosque at Jum'ah. Yeah, that's the guy I want. Oh, Habibti, if his role models are red pill men, wallahi, this man will show you the stars of the night in the day. And he will just wait until he traps you. Right? He'll trap you into a marriage, and then you'll see all the controlling behaviour come out, the toxic behaviour, the second wife talk in the first 5 minutes of your marriage. All of that will come out. Be very careful. I'm telling you, in no time you'll discover porn addiction, weed addiction, you name it. You name it, it will all come out. Because when men do not have the right role models, you can't trust him to be your qawwam. You can't. It's too much of a risk to take. Trust me, I was young and stupid once. I married a man like this, and it was hell on earth. I thought he was practicing. I thought he was religious. But when I look back at who he took on as role models, they weren't the right people. The sheikhs he used to listen to, the preachers he used to put on a pedestal, they were all problematic. Now, I was young at the time. I didn't realise that it was problematic. I know now. And even if I was to die and be resurrected 20 times, I'd never go near a guy like that ever again. because they are children in men's bodies who really do think that they are real men. Okay, they really truly believe it. And that's why they talk with such arrogance. That's why they talk with such confidence that they know what they're doing and they know Islam properly, but their understanding of Islam is so immature and so twisted and so distorted and so wrong that it can get you in a lot of trouble, and you might even lose your iman being married to someone like this. So please always look at who someone's role models are so you can get a clearer idea of what kind of marriage you're going to have, okay? So that's a top tip. Don't forget that one. And that also applies to women, okay? Check out who their role models are. Because if they are obsessed with people like the Kardashians and celebrities and influencers, then you are going to be bringing trouble on yourself. And don't say I didn't tell you. Okay, that's what happens when you marry someone who's got the wrong role models. You're asking for trouble, especially if you know from the beginning. So the next question is, how do narcissistic women who are not very attractive or maternal get handsome, narcissistic man-children to marry them? Okay, because I said before that a man-child loves a woman who is beautiful and she needs to be maternal. Okay, so if she's going to be his long-term source of supply, she needs to be both those things. So this person is asking me, how is it that some women can maintain long-term relationships when they don't have beauty and they don't have a maternal bone in their body? And the answer is, she appeals to his materialistic side. Okay, so a man-child also wants a woman who's got money. So if all she has is money, or she has a fantastic business mindset, she knows how to make money, then he will marry her and use her as a stepping stone to achieve his career goals, achieve his financial goals. He will trample all over her in the process. There will be no love, no respect, nothing. He will use her. Okay, he will take advantage of her. And he will do this in the name of love. He'll do this in the name of Islam, whatever. But she will seduce him from the perspective of financial gain, because this type of narcissistic woman knows that he is looking for that. So if she can show him her value and the supply she can bring to the table by helping him make a lot of money, helping him become famous, helping him to increase his status in society, right? Maybe she comes from a family of high status. Maybe he comes from a family of high status, and that's why she wants him. So if he is someone who is handsome, if he is someone influential, and if he is someone who, he could come from a specific nationality she likes, he might come from a family that's well known in the community, she wants him to elevate her status, and in return, she becomes the drive that helps him to increase his self-value and his worth in materialistic gain. Okay, so she'll be behind him getting rich. She'll be behind him getting that Ferrari and dressing in designer clothing and everything, right? So that's what happens in these relationships. That's why he can compromise on her looks to gain something more important in his eyes. Now, if they are the more practicing Muslims, like the Salafi types, he will take a second wife later down the line and she will be pretty. Okay, to compensate for what she doesn't have. So as soon as he's able to afford taking on another wife, and as soon as his status becomes better in society, if he becomes more famous, he will now make the decision to take on new supply. Or she might be a back burner supply. Someone he already knew from before, who he couldn't afford to get married to. So he will circulate, he'll go and hoover her, and more often than not, she is brought in as a second, third or fourth wife. And wife number one won't be happy with that. She won't be happy, but she's got a gain from him as well, so she's going to be patient with it. More often than not, she'll be patient. Because if she's narcissistic, she will stay in that relationship for her own personal gain as well. If she's not narcissistic, if she's more codependent or empathic, she will leave that relationship very quickly. She won't hang around for that. And if she's toxic codependent, Lord Almighty, the dramas that will come out of that situation won't end, because she will feel used and deceived and scammed, and she will set out to ruin everyone's life in that situation. Okay, but when a narcissistic woman knows that she's got something to gain, she will stay. If there's nothing for her to gain in that situation, she will leave. Okay, so don't think that women who stay in these polygamous relationships don't have anything to gain. Trust me, the narcissistic ones know what they're doing. And they will put a happy face on in public, but behind closed doors, they're not happy with what's happening. They feel humiliated, they feel used, but because they've got something to gain, they bite the bullet and get on with it. And this takes me on to quickly explaining why a lot of toxic and narcissistic women children, especially those who they present themselves to be very religious. Okay, so again, they could be the Salafi sisters. They are the ones who will target good married men so that they can be second, third and fourth wives. Okay, so they will offer themselves as wives to good men. So they use the excuse that it's halal for them to do that because all Muslim men have the ability to take on more than one wife. So they are basically exercising their right to enter a polygamous relationship. It's really messed up, and I've spoken about this before in podcasts, but this is what the narc women children do. And this is what malignant narcissistic women do. They will deliberately target married men. And they will enjoy the competition. So the way they seduce men who are married is by giving them an offer they can't refuse. So for example, a woman might say, I have my own home. You don't have to provide for me. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. But I'm looking for a husband and you can visit whenever you like. You can do this. You can do that. So even if a man is happy in his marriage, if he gets an offer like that, not all the time, but there will be men who will feel tempted to accepting the offer of a woman who is making it so easy, right? She's giving him this offer on a golden plate. That's how she seduces him. So sometimes it's not beauty that seduces a man. Sometimes it's an offer of something where he can gain free or very cheap sex, extra, on top of what he's already got from his wife. This can sometimes be seduction for a man. And a lot of these super religious looking sisters will do that in the name of them doing what's halal. And this is not halal by any means. Okay, this is not the Islamic way of doing it. You do not go and approach married men and offer them the opportunity to take you as a second, third or fourth wife. You are damaging homes. You are damaging and ruining marriages. And it's disgusting, revolting behaviour. Because sometimes when the first wife finds out that he's taken an offer from a woman who's gotten into his head about taking a secret second wife, you will be the cause of children living in a home where their father is no longer present because she's filed for a divorce from him. And they would have been perfectly fine before. But the narcissistic woman child, she will get into your head. Okay? She will get into your head and she will manipulate you. She will seduce you until you decide that it's a good idea to take a secret second wife. What's the harm, right? What's the harm? I don't have to pay for anything. I don't have to do anything. She's a sister in need. Now you start justifying it to yourself Islamically. And you make it right in your head with the help of your qareen who encourages you to take up that offer. Okay, it takes a real decent man to just dismiss women like this. And they're not always the super religious ones. Sometimes they're the opposite. Sometimes it's the Barbie girls who give you these offers. Okay, so she might see you at work. Maybe she's fallen in love with you. She really wants to be your wife. And the only way she can be is if you take her on as a second and you tell her I can't afford it. You know, I'm struggling with one wife and I've got 4 kids. She's like, it's okay. You don't have to do anything. I've got a good job. I've got a good income and I've got my own home. So don't worry about it. We can arrange something. Now, this narcissistic Barbie girl woman child, she will have a different type of beauty to the wife. So again, shaitan starts playing with his head. His qareen will continuously talk him into it. You should do it, you should do it, you should do it. This is your opportunity to have a Barbie girl. This is your opportunity to do this, do that. And a lot of men, again, will fall into this trap. And sometimes the qareen will approach you from the perspective of, enjoy a sexual relationship with someone else. You've been with one woman your whole life. Come on. What's the harm if you do that? So again, I can't count how many people have come to me for counselling because this has happened. Some woman got into his head, whether she's very religious or she's the opposite Barbie girl type, and he took her on as a secret wife. She found out. The whole marriage fell apart. He's regretting it. He's begging her to not leave. And it's just a mess. Because you fell into the trap of a narcissistic woman child. I'm telling you, they love married men. And even narcissistic men, they like to target and flirt with married women. It's a challenge for them. They find it funny. It's a game. Even if they have no intention of having any relationship whatsoever with this person, they just enjoy messing with people's heads. I mean, wouldn't it be fun and entertaining for a narcissist to make sure that you obsess over them while you're married to someone else? Of course it is. This is a part of their satanic mission to break families. Okay, so stay away from these people because it's a game for them. They enjoy it. And sometimes they see the supply they need in someone married. So they would have seen nothing beneficial come from the single people whom they know. So they don't target them. But the married people whom they know have the supply they want. Okay, so a married woman might be particularly maternal and he likes it. Or a married man might have that paternal energy she's looking for, so she gravitates towards him. And the reason why a lot of children gravitate towards married men as well is because if they have children, they can see what kind of fathers they are. And if a married woman is attracted to the type of father a man is, she will see this guy as a source of supply to fill that paternal role that she has been looking to fill. Okay? That's what's going to happen. And the same happens with men. It's complicated to think about, but that's what happens. They get attracted to mothers and fathers and target them. And this is why a lot of man children marry single mothers, and why a lot of women children marry single fathers who have children, because they see what kind of father, what kind of parent you are, what kind of mother, and it draws them to you. But you're here thinking, wow, what an amazing person to accept me and my children. I've got 4 kids and this man has accepted me with them, or this woman has accepted me with them. And she's beautiful, she's young, or he's handsome, and you think you've hit the jackpot. But little do you know that the reason why they accepted that in the first place is because you showed them from the beginning, or they saw from the beginning, that you have the maternal or paternal energy that they are looking for. And then you notice later down the line, when you do marry them, they don't care about your kids. Oh, they couldn't give 2 flying monkeys about them. They don't take care of them. They don't look after them. They're not bothered about them. They don't even like them. They don't want to be around them. And they get annoyed that you have expectations of them to look after them and show them love and spend time with them. In their minds, they're thinking, they're not my kids. They're not my kids. I don't want to parent anyone. I'm here so I can be parented. I'm here because I want a mummy or I want a daddy. I'm not here to look after anyone's kids. And then you start to see the resentment later down the line, and you start to notice that this person doesn't actually want to be around my kids. They don't ask about the kids. And if they do, you can tell it's like they have to make extra effort to show that they are engaging with the children. But they hate it with a passion when you have any expectations of them when it comes to your children. And like I said, spending time, showing affection and all of that. They hate it when you have expectations. They want to do things on their terms. The next question is from a brother who said that his wife will sabotage every good moment when they are at their peak in their marriage. So he said everything will be going fine, everything will be going smoothly, they're happy, they're enjoying their time, and then bam, she'll do something or she'll create a problem to sabotage the happiness. He said this happens all the time. We work really hard on the marriage, we get to a point where everything is good, and he's like, Alhamdulillah, it's finally getting somewhere. We're finally happy. We finally figured out how to fix this marriage, and then back to square one. Problems, arguments. She goes back to being rude, disrespectful. She leaves the house whenever she wants. She doesn't inform him about anything she's doing. And he said, I don't know why this happens every time we get to a good place. And there are two reasons why this happens. Number one, they don't believe that a marriage can ever work because they saw their parents have a turbulent marriage, and they don't believe that any marriages last. And number two, they believe they don't deserve it. Okay, they don't deserve to be happy. They don't deserve to have a good marriage. And the reason why is because they know they've scammed you into that marriage. They know that they are being someone whom they're not. So when things get really good, it reminds them that this is not real. This is all fake. Because this is not who she is or who he is. So they sabotage. Okay, because they're like, this is not me. I don't deserve this. He or she doesn't know who I really am. They don't know that I've scammed them into believing I love them. That I've scammed them into believing that I actually want to work on this marriage. They don't know that I'm just here for supply. So their conscience hits them when things get to their peak. And they sabotage everything. Okay, so the core feeling they have is that they don't deserve what they're in, and shame. They feel ashamed that they see you so happy, but they know they can't maintain it. They know they can't maintain it, so better to end it now than end it later because I cannot be consistent. And when they do good, right, when they do improve, maybe it's after counselling, after coaching, maybe it's after a big problem, you'll find that they do really well for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And maybe a couple of months if you're really lucky, before they fall back into the same old habits, same old problems. They can't maintain it because this is not who they are. The feelings they have for you are not genuine enough to keep them consistent in good behaviour. Okay, again, I know it's hard to hear, but this is why they can't be consistent with you, because they are faking who they are with you. You're asking them to be someone whom they're not. When this is not who you really are, you're not going to be able to keep it up for very long. Okay, they will do it to keep the peace. They will do it to get supply. They will do it so that they can get pregnant. They will do it so that they can get you to write that house in their name. And they'll keep it up. They'll stretch it out until they get what they want. And then bam, back to square one. Okay, so the more malignant ones will do it so that they can get the supply they want. And these are the more cruel types, okay, who really, they're brutal, they're heartless. So as soon as they get what they want, so for example, she's tricked you into believing she's changed and that she's better and that she's a wonderful wife, she's sleeping with you again, she's dressing up for you again, she seduces you, you get her pregnant, that's it, that's all she wanted. You got her pregnant. She's tied you in with a child now. I could go back to being how I was because he's not going anywhere. And even if he goes anywhere, I don't care. I've got a kid now. I've got a child who I can use as a pawn to get everything I want from now on. So you've got to be careful. I tell people to wait at least 8 to 12 weeks before they believe that someone's changed, because most narcissists will not be able to last that long. Okay, they won't. They will not be able to hold that mask up for that long. So if you're impatient and you get too excited that this narcissist has changed, you could fall into bigger problems. So you've got to look out for consistency first. Someone who is genuine will be consistent in their changes. Someone who isn't, they're just love bombing you to make you believe that they've changed so they can get what they want. Yeah, they won't last very long. 8 to 12 weeks, I promise you that mask will drop. The next question is, how do I deal with a man-child who knows very well I don't want a divorce and I want children, but he's being very difficult? It's very simple. Just walk away. Walk away from someone like this. Okay, some people will play on your fear of getting divorced, especially if it's like your second, third or fourth marriage. So a man-child will know from the beginning, or a woman-child, that you care about your reputation when it comes to being divorced. So some people really care about this, especially if they live in a community where there are very judgmental people. So you fear getting a divorce, but at the same time, this man-child or this woman-child is really acting up, and they're doing it on purpose because they know you don't want to leave and can't leave and you're too scared to leave. But at the same time, they're getting away with not giving you what you want and what you need. So in this situation, I would say get some help and therapy for codependency and get out of there. Okay, you've got to get out of there because a lot of men and women will use that card. They know you don't want another divorce. They know you're terrified of looking like a failure, okay? So they will use it. So anyone who uses that card and they're not doing anything to work on the marriage and they're not making the efforts that are needed, walk away, especially if you don't have children. Get out of there. Make the necessary arrangements to move out. Maybe you have family you can go back to. Maybe you're working and you can go and rent somewhere else. Whatever it is, make your arrangements. Get the therapy and coaching you need so you can find the bravery within you to leave a toxic situation like that before things get even more complicated. Okay, now if you have children, then I always advise that you go for mediation first before you file for a divorce or a separation, because sometimes the man-child is doing that as a result of him feeling emasculated, him feeling a certain way, and sometimes it can be fixed, right? There are minor things that can be done that can be fixed. However, if you really are living with someone highly narcissistic and they are really toxic, you're better off getting out of there, because this will just be the beginning. You will see so much more later down the line, and you're holding on to this person with everything you've got because you're so scared to get a divorce, you're so scared to be a single parent, you're so scared to lose half your house in court and half your assets and whatnot. But ask yourself, what's more valuable to you? Your peace and your faith and your freedom, or money? Yeah? And people talking behind your back because you're now divorced for the second or third time. Who cares? Who cares? Get out of a situation that's toxic before it ruins you and destroys you for good. Okay, I can't tell you how many people I've seen completely get destroyed because they decided to hold on as a result of the fears they had. They feared so much. I fear being a single mom. I fear not having anyone. I fear never getting married again and that no one will want me. I fear this and I fear that. And it got them nowhere. It just got them tied up in a very toxic trauma bond that they can't get out of now because they've been in it for 10, 15, 20 years and they're stuck. They're stuck with multiple kids. They're stuck with loads of issues, loads of health issues that's causing them to stay there as well. So if you have no children from a man-child or a woman-child, get out and save yourself while you can. Because I promise you there are thousands of women and men out there who regret not doing that while they have the chance. Okay? Now they're in an even worse situation and they feel stuck. Now this is the same answer for the next question that I received from someone who said that I found out my husband is closet gay. What do I do? And the way she found out was she saw some very inappropriate messages between him and another man on WhatsApp. Okay, So she said she found it shocking, and she'd always had a feeling that something was not right with him. And one day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed her to see this conversation, and it just confirmed to her that this guy is gay. She has a young child, and in this kind of situation, you've got different options. But if you can get out of that situation, run for the hills. This doesn't get better. Okay, this doesn't get better. Because a man who has been closet gay for a long time, especially since his teenage years, will know that this is now a part of who he is. It's a part of his identity. Because a man who is ashamed of being closet gay and doesn't like being closet gay will avoid other men. Okay, they will do the opposite. They will avoid being around other men whom they find attractive, because they're trying their best to fight this problem they have. But when they like it, when they enjoy being closet gay, when they enjoy being attracted to other men, you won't find them making any efforts to stop or get the help they need. They don't go to therapy. They don't go for ruqya. They avoid it. You suggest ruqya to them, they don't like it. You suggest going to therapy or counselling, they don't want to, they don't like it, because they're happy with who they are. If he's that kind of guy, run for the hills. Run for the hills. It's not going to work out. This is who he is, and he has to do a lot of internal work and spiritual work to get out of that. And a lot of men don't want to. Okay, it's their choice. They don't want to. However, they keep you in their life because you are the cover. You are the cover for them being gay. So lots of people say, well, if he knows he's closet gay, then why did he marry me from the beginning? Habibti, he married you because you're his cover. If he marries you, the society will never think he's gay. They'll say, oh, he can't be gay. He's got a wife. He's got kids. So a lot of man children, especially the really handsome ones, they will go and find a wife. They'll get married. They'll do all of that because they want people to think they're normal. They want people to believe they're straight. So behind closed doors, they have the freedom to do whatever they want. So if he's engaging in relationships with other men, you really need to get out of there, because these men carry horrible diseases. These men carry loads of mental health problems. Okay, especially if they're watching gay porn. I've got clients who found their husbands watching gay porn. You know, things that have been saved on the computer that weren't erased. Sometimes it's their children who found this on the computer. Like, what the hell is wrong with people? There are children finding gay porn on their dad's laptops and iPads and everything. So don't subject your children to that. If you find out someone is gay or even lesbian, right? If you find out your wife is lesbian, just walk away. Walk away. You don't need to be dealing with any of that. If they want to change, let them change for themselves. If they want to get ruqya, let them do it for themselves. Don't get caught up in an even bigger problem because they like the way they are. Okay? And in many cases like this, they don't want to go for mediation. They don't want to speak to the family about it. They are terrified of being exposed. And if you expose them, God help you. Oh, they will unleash every nasty side they have on you to punish you for telling someone or telling your family or their family that you found out he is closet gay. Oh, they'll hate you for it. And they will think of every punishment they can to inflict on you. And they will bring up past mistakes, past sins that you've engaged in. Let's say, for example, you and him had a haram relationship before you got married. Oh, all of that will come out. All of that will come out because he needs to find something now to distract everyone from the issue at hand. Now he needs to make you look like the villain. He needs to make you look like the filthy one, the one who is not good. Oh, this hijabi woman, you see, this kind woman, this nice woman. Yeah, the one who's accusing me of being closet gay, the one who's seeing things, right? She's hallucinating this WhatsApp conversation she saw. Yeah, that woman is not who you think she is, because before we got married, she did X, Y, Z. she did this. And all of it will come out because he has to make you look like the more evil one, the one who's got even more issues. Now, in society, if a woman is found out to have engaged in zina, all of a sudden the attention will shift onto her. Oh my goodness, I can't believe someone like you could do things like that. We thought you were religious, we thought you were good. So now, the family who you complained to about him being closet gay will go and side with him against you. So they might have been with you in the beginning, but when they found out that you've done all of these things, their attention now shifts on him and his smear campaign, or he will light a forest with that smear campaign against you if you expose him for being gay. And all the flying monkeys will come out of the woodwork, and you'll find that you have no support whatsoever. Okay, his family will turn nasty with you, and they will say, well, you're as bad as each other. You and him, you're both filthy. You're both disgusting. You belong with each other. And they don't help you. So if you find out your wife is closet lesbian or your husband's closet gay, don't tell the family about it. Agree with each other to separate on civil terms without any of this filth coming out. And I say that because they get really nasty when they're exposed. Any narcissist who gets exposed will unleash hell on you. Okay, so just try and come to a solution. Just say, look, I've seen this and I can't stay with you anymore. I don't want to be in this marriage. I don't want to humiliate you and embarrass you. I want out. Please give me a quick divorce. Please do not make this harder than it already is, because if you don't, I'm going to have to go to the court about this and I'm going to have to expose certain things. I've got evidence. I've got this. I've got that. That's what happens in these cases. So agree on an amicable divorce that's quick so that everyone is saved from humiliation. Okay? Because it's traumatic when they bring up all your past mistakes and sins as well that you repented from 10, 20 years ago. When they bring them all back to the surface, not only are you traumatized by remembering them, you're now traumatized because everyone knows. So you've got to protect yourself in this situation. Don't expose a narcissist. There's no need. Just deal with it between you and him or you and her and get out as safely and as quietly as possible. Now, the next question came from a brother who said that he had a haram relationship with his wife, a narc woman child, before they got married, and he actually had to marry her because she fell pregnant. So she's not his dream woman. He said that he found traits of being a narcissistic man-child in him too, but he's also highly codependent. So he was reeled into a relationship with her, but she was very toxic, she was very problematic, she fell pregnant, she didn't want to get an abortion, and she did that on purpose to hook him into marrying her. So he comes from a wealthy family and she doesn't. His mother did not like her at all. She did not want him marrying her. She comes from a different culture. The mother was really unhappy, but he couldn't tell anyone that she was pregnant. So he married her against the will of his family. And he said, things have been very turbulent. She hates my family. She does not visit my family because she knows they don't like her. They have so many marital problems over this. And he said that the haram relationship he was in with her was only for about 6 weeks. But he had to lie to his family and tell them that he knew her for 2 years from his work so that they do not get suspicious as to why he has to marry her that quickly. So she put him under a lot of pressure to marry her very quickly because of the timing of the pregnancy. So he said that his marriage has never been a happy one. It's always been very turbulent, up and down, dramas. She's very erratic in her behaviour, in her mood swings, everything that I spoke about in the last podcast that he really related to. And he said at the moment we live in a very big house and we live separately. So we have separate rooms. We don't sleep in the same room. So he said this has been going on for over a year. So they've been married for 5 years. And he said that he's getting fed up of it. She doesn't want to change her ways. She's happy with the way things are. And they've got 2 children now. And she knows very well he doesn't want to divorce her because he's very attached to the children. And she told him that if they were to divorce, she will take the children and move to where her parents are, which is about 6 hours away. So this terrifies him. So he suggested to her that he takes a second wife so that they can stay married, living under the same roof, and the kids can be with them both, but he wants to get married, right? He wants a wife. And she doesn't like it. She said no. She said, if you get a second wife, I'm going to report you to the authorities because it's illegal where they are for him to take another wife. And she said, you'll never see the kids again. So he's well and truly stuck with a narcissistic woman who is enjoying watching him being tortured like this. So he said he did go behind her back. He went on an app and he started speaking to some women because he's thinking, well, the best way of doing this would be to take a secret wife behind her back. But every time he tells a woman that this is his situation, she backs out. She says, no, sorry, I'm not getting involved. And there was one time when a woman agreed because she found out he was wealthy. She agreed, and then the wife found out about it, and hell broke loose. Hell broke loose over the situation. So he's asking, what do I do in this situation? And my answer would be, cut your losses and get out of that situation as well. Because there will always be a sacrifice in these cases. And if a woman is going to threaten you with taking your children away, then she's going to do that for the rest of your life anyway. Whether it's now, whether it's in 10 years, 20 years, she will always use that card against you. So you're in a situation where you have no marriage, you can't get another wife, she doesn't treat you well, it's a toxic environment, the kids are stuck watching this strange marriage unfold before their eyes, where their parents don't sleep in the same room, and their parents are not happy, they're not in love, they don't do things as a family. What's better, staying in that situation and losing some access to your children, or getting out and living a normal life where you are not suffering from health problems, iman problems, spiritual problems, where you're not thinking about zina because no one will marry you in that situation, where you are not being blackmailed every 5 minutes with your children? You don't need any of that. I would say cut your losses and leave. Let her be a single mum if she wants to be a single mum. Let her move away. You will always have rights to your children. Yes, the sacrifice will be that you do not get to see them or spend time with them like you used to. But this will be healthier for them in the long run when they learn from their father that this is not a marriage and it's best to leave that situation and environment so that you don't think it's normal, because this is not normal. And it's okay for adult relationships to not work out, but that's not something they're going to understand from now. That's something they're going to understand when they're older. Too many people stay in marriages that are so toxic because of the children. What are the children seeing? What is it that you are keeping together for the children? You are allowing them to see a toxic marriage unfold, and then that becomes normalized for them. Or you traumatize them so much that as soon as they get an opportunity to leave the house, they're out of there because of how much they suffered watching their parents bicker and argue and fight. And sometimes they see physical violence as well. For what? Islamically, it's an obligation for you to leave that environment because it's not fair on anybody. It's not fair on your children more than anyone else to have to witness all of that. It's better for them to live between 2 homes where there's no fighting and no violence, where there's no verbal abuse, no religious abuse, no spiritual abuse. There's no woman disrespecting their father. There's no father abusing their mother. So when they go to you, they have a nice, calm, happy environment because you're free. You're now free to get married to someone else who's nice. You're free to live your life. You're free to have a marriage. You're free to do things that you couldn't do. And they are most likely spoiled by the mother's family, their grandparents, when they go to them. It works out better for the kids in most cases. So men who are in this situation, don't even think about staying for the kids when you are that stuck and she's enjoying seeing you be that stuck. You can't move. There's no room to maneuver. She's not being flexible with anything. She gets jealous when you speak to another woman, but she doesn't want to be a wife to you. How toxic is that? And you're asking me what you should do about that situation. That's what you should do. That should come from you, right? That should come from you and your own self-worth. This is why codependency is such a problem in both men and women, because they start to doubt themselves. Is it right that I stay in this? Should I stay for the sake of the kids? Should I not? Well, look at the bigger picture. Look how many parents stayed together in a toxic marriage and raised narcissistic children, raised narcissistic man children and women children. Everything I've been speaking about in my last podcasts are a result of toxic parents staying together for the sake of the children. It's not for the sake of the children. It's because they want to entrap that parent in the relationship, or because they're too scared to leave. So they're either too codependent to leave, or they're too narcissistic to leave because they're enjoying the power and the control they have over that individual. Now, when those two come together, you get all of these personality disorders in your children. That's what happens. So, Allah did not say divorce unless you have children. There's nowhere in Hadith or the Quran that says that. If it's toxic, it's toxic. Get out if you can. If you can't, then you have to get people involved. You've got to get your local imam involved if he's good. You've got to get mediators. You've got to get family involved. And they need to know that you're being abused. They need to know that this is all happening and that you need some help to deal with this situation. Some women say, there are some women who really can't get out because of the culture and their families send them back or they don't accept them back. In this situation, you need to learn how to erect the right boundaries. Okay, so if you really can't get out, I'm not talking to men here. All men can get out. Okay, don't come to me as a man telling me you can't get out of your relationship. You 100% can. But when women are stuck, then you need to learn how to erect the right boundaries of respect so that you stop getting physically, mentally, verbally abused. That's the best thing you can do in that situation. If you've got no money, no job, no qualifications, no support, no help, no nothing, learn how to have those boundaries with someone so you can minimize the negative effects of the abuse on you and your children. Okay, now when it comes to men, I encourage that you do this in the early stages before it gets really bad, before your children are subjected to horrible abuse. But if you're still staying and your children are witnessing horrid abuse, the issue lies in you. The issue lies in you because you can issue a talaq and get out of there. And if you're not brave enough to do it, you need counselling and coaching for codependency. And you need to do it as soon as possible if you're in this situation as well. Okay, if you're being heavily abused and your children are witnessing this and you're really struggling to issue that talaq, you really need to get help for it. Go to a counsellor, mediator, imam, therapist, sheikh, whoever, and find that bravery from somewhere to get out of that situation, okay? It's really important because we cannot be carrying on the toxic teachings of the previous generations that taught their daughters and their sons to tolerate abuse and to tolerate bad treatment. Oh, we're done with that. Oh, we're long done with that now. We can no longer see it as something noble. It's not something to be proud of. It's not something healthy in any way, shape or form. We live in a generation now where people have woken up and we have to teach our children that it's okay to get a divorce when someone is abusing us, taking advantage of us, oppressing us, disrespecting us. If they don't want to change and they want to continue that way, yeah, absolutely get a divorce. And you won't lose Allah's love. You're not going to lose his love. You're actually going to gain his love by doing the right thing for your children and doing the right thing for your iman and for your mental health, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted marriage to be second mawadda rahmah. Peace, tranquility, deep love, respect, security. It's a sanctuary. He didn't want it to be a toxic mess, a place that we fear, a place we run from. That's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted. He's going to love you even more for having the bravery, for leaving such a disgusting relationship. You learn what you have to learn from it and you move on. You teach your children that it's okay to get a divorce. It's not the end of the world. It's better to enter a marriage and get divorced than be in haram relationships. Do it the right way. It's fine if you get a divorce. It's fine if you don't meet the right person the first time round. It's okay. Most people will not. Most marriages will fail the first time round because you're still learning about yourself. You're still learning about who is right for you. Okay, you don't know you're codependent yet. You don't know you're narcissistic yet. So yes, the majority of first marriages will fall apart and it's okay. Teach your children that it's okay and that they are not chained and imprisoned for the rest of their life with the person whom they chose to marry, because society chooses to view them as a failure. Oh, he's a failure. He couldn't keep his family together. Or she's such a failure. She's in her 30s and 40s and never been married. Who gives two flying monkeys about what the society thinks? Because where has it got us? Look at the mess our ummah is in now, because people care too much about what other people think. And yes, it's important for us to maintain a good reputation and for people to think well of us. I'm not saying that's not important. It definitely is. Because we are the ambassadors of Allah on this earth, right? We are going to be witnesses to each other on the Day of Judgment in regards to who was good and who was bad and who treated people well and who didn't. However, when it comes to things that are not Islamic, when people are shamed for not being married because Allah did not send them that rizq, when people are shamed for being divorced because that woman decided that she needed to leave because she was being abused and she wanted a better life for herself, when people are shamed for these things that are cultural rather than Islamic, yeah, you do not give two flying monkeys about it, okay? Because when you prioritize your iman and your mental health and your physical health, when you prioritize your deen above staying married and keeping a family together for the sake of the children who are being damaged anyway, you're going to get more reward. You're going to get more reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for doing that. Because at the end of the day, if we have no iman, if we have no health left, because stress has crippled us, stress has given us cancer because of dealing with a narcissistic individual, what have we gained? If at the end of the day our children are going to turn their backs on us and they ask us when they're older, why didn't you leave our dad when he abused you so much? Why? And then we find out that our kids don't respect us because we stayed in such a toxic environment. What did we gain? We gained nothing. Nothing. So always know that the reason why people say, I'm going to stay in this marriage for the sake of the children, it's because they are codependent and they can't find the bravery, so they use the children as an excuse. I'm still here because of the children. Okay, I'm not sugarcoating anything for you here. I'm giving it to you straight. This is what it is. You're using the children as an excuse. You're pushing them onto the front line as a cover for your lack of bravery. You've got to find the bravery. You've got to find the tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You've got to find that trust and that love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to want better for yourself. Because if you don't love Allah, you can't love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you can't love Allah. Okay, it works both ways. So we need to start re-evaluating and thinking, are we really stuck? Or are we choosing to be stuck? Are we choosing to stay in a toxic environment because it's comfortable? And again, I'm not talking about those people who really are stuck, okay? Some people will really fear for their lives if they leave a toxic manipulator, a psychopath. You know, I've met some women who say that the reason why they haven't left is because they fear murder. Their husband is that physically abusive. They are terrified he's going to do something. I'm not talking about any of those people today. Okay, all of those people have an excuse. If they're going to stay in a toxic environment, they have an excuse. And may Allah make it easy for them. May Allah rescue you, inshallah, if you're in that situation. But please learn how to erect the right boundaries. But everyone else who has a way out, you've got options, and you choose to stay, always remember, that's your choice, and not because this is what Allah's chosen for you. Never say it's what Allah's chosen for you. When you have options, then you have a way out if mediation is not working, and if this person is not changing, right? If they are not making the right efforts to change, then what are you still doing there? I also receive loads of questions about how to deal with a man-child or a woman-child who's petty, right? They're petty over everything. They gaslight you over everything. They will change goalposts all the time. I mentioned all of this in the previous podcast. And I also recorded a podcast about the narcissist pettiness, and it's number 67. Okay, so it's all in there. Because it's really important that you understand this pettiness that they have, because it will drive you insane if you're not aware of how they operate, okay? How they use it to manipulate you. I saw a comment the other day. A woman had written about her husband who goes into a rage when food isn't cooked properly. For example, there's a bit too much spice in the food, or there's too little spice, or it's too sweet, or it's too salty. He will go into a full-blown malignant rage over something like that. And then when she changes it to his liking, he will verbally abuse her and tell her, why did you not make it spicy? And she'll say, well, you told me last time you didn't like it spicy. You said it was too spicy. He's like, oh, you are stupid. You don't know what you're doing. That's not what I said. You know I like it spicy. And it's just a complete and utter nightmare living with someone like this. I'm telling you, honestly, if you have no kids, what are you doing in that relationship? Because they do this with everything. They are petty like this with everything, especially the man-child and the woman-child. It's just not worth it. It's not a life to live. Allah did not tell us to tolerate all of this. He really didn't. And just dealing with that pettiness is enough to drive you over the edge, honestly. It really is. So the next question is, my wife is super obsessed with her friends and she smokes weed regularly with them. Does she have Ashiq Jinn, and what can be done about this? So like I said before in the podcast, smoking weed is an escape for loads of narcissists, okay? Especially the man children and the women children. You'll find them addicted to magic mushrooms, weed, maybe other types of drugs, cigarettes, things like that. And they like intoxicants because it allows them to enter another realm where they don't have to live their reality. Okay, that's why they do it. And if they do this regularly, then yes, they can be affected by their Ashiq Jinn, for sure. And they will need to do ruqya for it, but the ruqya will not work if they do not stop the smoking. Okay, so the things that attract the Ashiq Jinn to them, if they are not stopped, ruqya will not work. Okay, so it's an internal struggle that they have to deal with themselves. You can't parent them, because if you demand that they stop smoking weed, they will just go off with their friends and smoke it elsewhere, because they turn into rebellious teenagers when they don't get their way. Okay, and then when they become obsessed about always hanging out with their friends, it's because that's the part of their life that they can live as single people again. Okay, so it's where they don't have children with them. The husband's not with them. The wife isn't with them. So they get to have that single life again. And that's why they become obsessed about their friends. They have to always see their friends, because it's like an escape as well from all the responsibilities and the duties and being a mother, being a wife, being a husband. Man children and women children hate that. I told you before, they hate responsibilities. They're always finding ways to escape their responsibilities. And that's why so many of you will complain about your husbands or wives always wanting to hang out with their single friends, because their single friends don't care. And loads of their friends are not good people, so they don't care if they are encouraging your husbands or wives to always hang out with them. Because remember, Iblis is always working through people to sabotage people's marriages and homes. So you'll always find that many of their friends are single or the same type of people. So they will be running away from their responsibilities as well. They get together and they get to enjoy life as being single, okay, just momentarily. And it really annoys them when you call them back home to put the kids to bed, for example, or if dinner needs to be made, or if the kids need help with their homework. So if you are unable to do it and you need them back home to do these things for the children, or even if, for example, you've got needs, sexual needs, and you want them home, then it's going to really anger the man-child or woman-child, and they will feel like you are controlling. They will accuse you of being like really unfair, abusive and horrible and narcissistic, because you're not allowing them to live their single life for as long as they want. So if they want to roll in at 4 o'clock in the morning, they don't want you to have any issue with it. They want you to understand that they are entitled to their single life. That may not suit you. And if it doesn't suit you, they get into a strop. They might give you the silent treatment for a long time if they have to come home to put the kids to bed and they don't want to, or they wanted to spend longer outside, but you've made a huge fuss and they know that if they don't come home, then something will be taken away from them, or you're going to give them the silent treatment, and they need things from you. So they can't afford to put you in a position where you give them the silent treatment, so they come back and they do what you want, but with resentment and with anger. And sometimes they come home late because they don't want you to smell the weed on them, because they know that if you were to smell it on them, or alcohol or anything else, then it would just cause a huge headache for them that they would rather avoid. So this is another huge problem, because weed stinks. All those drugs and everything that they take as an escape really smells bad. And they know you hate it, and they know that it really turns you off when you smell it on them. So they have to have their fix, but sometimes they will delay coming home to get rid of the smell, especially when they've told you that they've quit. Okay, so remember what I was saying earlier, that they can't be consistent in change. So they will try to get away with doing things behind your back, but in front of you, it will look like they're making progress. And also remember that narcissists can become very miserable and highly irritant without weed. Okay, so if they don't have their fix of their drug or alcohol, they can become extremely miserable. So if you've asked them to quit and you've gone to counselling or therapy, and he's sworn or she's sworn to not touch weed again or alcohol, you will find that they go into a horrible mood for a long time, because they are suffering from withdrawal symptoms and they also resent you for stopping them. So even though it's good for them, they still hate you for making them stop something they love so much, because they believe that it makes them better. It makes them perform better at work. It gives them more confidence. They get hooked on it. It becomes an addiction. So they feel happier when they can escape from their reality and when they can use it to boost their confidence. Okay, because they use it to regulate their emotions and to switch off from everything. So when you take that away from them, it's like taking away a PlayStation from a child who becomes so addicted to playing video games. The way a child reacts when you take away their PlayStation is the same way they feel inside, right? That anger, that tantrum, that rage, that resentment, all of that is actually happening within them. But because they have to show you that they're making an effort to make the relationship work, they can't show you those emotions like children do. Okay, so always remember, they hate being told what to do. And they hate it when you keep tabs on them. And they hate it when they have to ask you permission for anything. And they hate it when they have to inform you about what they're doing, where they are, where they're going, who they're with. They don't like it. They don't like it. They will always use the excuse that they don't like to be controlled and that you must trust them. You've got to trust everything that they're doing, which means you leave them to it completely. And this, of course, is unrealistic, because if your wife goes out at 11 o'clock at night, it's unacceptable to you. But in her eyes, she believes you should trust her and that she's allowed her freedom. And if you don't, then you're a toxic, controlling, jealous, unbearable man to live with. Okay, this goes back to the people whom you choose for marriage. So if people don't have that understanding of the deen, so they know that these things are unacceptable, this behaviour is unacceptable, then this is what you're going to face. This is what you get when you marry the Barbie girl. This is what you get when you marry that man-child who just can't be a man. This is what you're going to face and experience when you marry someone just for their looks. And especially when you knew that this woman had an attitude from the beginning. She's quite a diva, right? She's quite the drama queen. If you marry that woman, this is the kind of life you're going to have. I promise you. And if you marry a man-child who is good looking, but he's not alpha masculine, this is what you're going to get. And I'll tell you something as well. Man-children, the ones who are closet gay, and the ones who just don't want to be men. Okay, remember when I said to you that there are some men who enjoy being feminine. They enjoy not having to be men at all. They are men who will not have any jealousy over you whatsoever. So they don't care what you do. They don't care how late you go out. They don't care if you have male friends. They don't care if men stare at you in public. There's no ghira, there's no jealousy, because their attention is elsewhere. They're attracted to men, or they're so feminine that sense of jealousy over women isn't present. And I'm talking about the healthy, protective jealousy, where a man would naturally feel uncomfortable if men were to stare at his wife or approach his wife, talk to his wife, or if she was to have male friends. The closet gay and the man-child who is happy being feminine, both of those types don't care. They don't care about any of that. They have no jealousy. They're not protective. And it really gets under women's skin sometimes. But that's what you get when you marry a very feminine man. And that's why if you look on social media at all the influencer couples, the man who is the feminine husband doesn't care about who's watching his wife dance about, do her makeup tutorials, wear tight clothes, sing, and just act like a complete fool, complete idiot on camera. He's got no jealousy, there's no ghira. That's why all these red pills call them dayuthin, because they're not protective over their women. They are happy being used as props in videos, and it makes them feminine. There's no alpha masculinity about them at all. So you need to avoid men like this from the beginning, because if you don't, I promise you, you're going to lose attraction and respect for him eventually. So the next question is, and there's only 2 more left, my wife works with men, but when a woman from my workplace is working on a project with me, she obsessively looks her up everywhere on social media and freaks out at everything, and work trips become a nightmare. And it's getting embarrassing because she sends friend requests to all of my work colleagues. And she does this to maintain tabs on all of their stories and to assess the competition, to the point where it has become a running joke at work. What can I do about this? So if you go back to my previous podcast, I do say to you that if a man is a high-value man, he's got a good career, he's well-groomed, right? He's a nice-looking guy, and he's God-fearing, he's decent, he's going to have options. So if this man is married to a narcissistic woman-child, she will always be paranoid about every woman who comes across you in your life, especially the women who work with you. So even if she works with men, even if she flirts with every man in her workplace, and they will, because all of these women and men are highly hypocritical, because they will slam you and hate you and resent you for all the things that they themselves are doing to you, they will obsess over every woman who comes across you. And they do this because they know they don't treat you well. Okay, they know this very well. They know you can find better, and they know you deserve better. So if you were to come across someone who treats you better, they are the competition whom they have to trump. Okay? And God help you. Lord Almighty help you. If this woman in your workplace, whom you are on a project with, is better looking than her, because if she is, no one will be spared her wrath. Not your mama, or your daddy, or even Biscuit, your pet cat. No one is going to be spared her anger. And if this colleague of yours has an open public account, best believe she's going to screenshot every picture of hers and zoom into all of them and just hate on them all. That's what they do. That's what these women do. They get really obsessed about women who are better looking than them. They can't stand it. They can't stand it, especially if they know this woman likes you. Now, if she's a woman who treats you so well, she'll have the confidence to know that you're a decent man and you wouldn't look elsewhere. But when they know they don't treat you well, when they know they're not sleeping with you, when they know they're being a complete nightmare, and a good-looking woman comes on the scene, they get obsessed. It becomes a serious mental illness. And all of a sudden, she's sleeping with you. All of a sudden, she's dressing up. All of a sudden, she's being nice. And she's being kind. And she's being thoughtful. Yeah? It's a game. The whole thing is a game. But this is the advantage when you are a high-value man and you have options. Okay, sometimes, it does cause people to fix up, because they will always be insecure around people whom they know could be better for you, okay, who could be a better match for you. And by the way, they will use this as an excuse to always have access to your phone. They always want to be going through your phone. They will treat you like you're constantly cheating on them. They want to keep tabs on everything from then on. And if they do that to you, just say, well, this has to be mutual, because you also work with men. How do I know that, men aren't trying it on with you, and so on and so forth? But they'll hate that you touch their phone. They don't like it when you touch their phone. They make it all about you. They make it all about you. So, yeah, just try and be clear in your communication that there's nothing going on, that she's got nothing to worry about. I mean, there's nothing wrong with reassuring her or him in that situation. However, know that it could be in your favour, that she's that insecure, because, like I said, it will allow her to fix up. It's good for her. It's good for her to improve in the marriage. But do place your boundaries when she takes it too far. Okay, do put your foot down when things turn unacceptable and when things get out of hand. Okay, she doesn't need to be sending friend requests to all of your work colleagues and messaging them and embarrassing you like that. Just be firm in your boundaries, and inshallah that will work itself out. If you need help with that, then do get marital counselling and coaching. The next question is, why does a man-child really like BDSM, which stands for bondage, discipline, sadism and masochism? And why do they not care about how you feel when you are in pain and not enjoying the sexual experience? So I dive into this subject in podcast number 46, which is called The Strange Sexual Desires and Activities of Covert Narcissists. And basically, because they are so emotionally disconnected from people, they enjoy BDSM because it's their way of inflicting punishment on you. Okay, that's how the Qareen punishes the empath. They do it through hitting, whipping, inflicting pain for pleasure, all of that. They do it within the intimate space because this is their only time when they can actually feel like a man. Okay, this is the time when they feel macho, masculine, alpha. In their minds, this is what masculinity is. So because they're so emasculated in other areas of life, they bring this understanding of masculinity into the bedroom, And that's where they feel the most powerful. That's where they feel the most in control. So even if you don't enjoy it, they don't care, because this is my chance. This is my chance, an opportunity to act like a man and feel like a man. So they don't really like to engage in the act of lovemaking where it's intimate and it's vulnerable and it's emotional. You won't get that from a man-child or a malignant narcissist. You might get that in the beginning when they're love-bombing you. Okay, you might get that excessively when they're love-bombing you, especially before marriage if you're in haram relationships. Okay, that's what they do to hook you in, especially when they know that you need that. So they look at what you need and then they excel in that need if they can give it to you. So they get married to you and the sexual experience is wonderful in the beginning, and then it turns sinister, okay, with time. Because the longer they stay with you in a marriage, the more emasculated they're going to feel, and that's why they turn to BDSM. And the reason why they turn to BDSM later on in the marriage as well is because if they were to show you from the beginning that's what they're into, you wouldn't marry them in the first place. Okay, you'd say, no, sorry, it's not for me. Adios. So they have to introduce it later on in the marriage when you're stuck, right? You're stuck with them now. And in order for you to keep this marriage together, you have to conform. You have to now do the things that they enjoy doing so that you don't get divorced. And you get dragged into sexual acts that you're really uncomfortable with, that you really get upset with, and they love seeing that. They really love seeing you in pain. They love seeing you upset. They love to see that they're in control. And you'll also notice they get really stingy with what they do for you. So it's almost like they don't enjoy it when they see you enjoy it. They stop abruptly. They don't continue. They say they're tired. They do something, whatever it is, they do it to stop you from enjoying the experience. And another thing that they enjoy doing is anal sex. Okay, they're really into this, and they can be into it for two reasons. So the first reason would be watching a lot of pornography and engaging in anal sex with women who were virgin. Okay, so there are lots of women from certain parts of the world where they don't want to have penetrative sex with a man before they get married through the vagina, so that they don't break their hymen, so that when they get married, they are still virgin. So these men get used to sleeping with women who are virgin from the back. So they get used to this practice. That's why I tell people all the time, just because someone's virgin does not mean they're a good person. And it doesn't mean they're innocent. And it doesn't mean they're higher value than other women. Some narcissistic women will find so many ways of going around this so they don't get caught in the future. Okay, or they just do hymen restoration procedures and get on with it. But a lot of man children are used to this. A lot of women children are used to this practice. And that's why they like it after marriage. And the second reason is, of course, they're closet gay. Okay, so those will be the two reasons why they enjoy this type of sexual activity. And it always starts with pornography. All of this always starts with pornography. So this is why you can really never enjoy a sexual experience with a man-child unless he is love-bombing you or she is love-bombing you. When they love-bomb you, they do really well in intimacy. So they know how to do it. They know how to make you happy. They know how to make it an enjoyable experience, but they don't want to. And this is when they start to humiliate you for asking for intimacy, initiating intimacy. They look at you like, huh? Why are you so greedy? Why are you so on heat all the time? But it's because they've given you so much excessive sexual pleasure in the love bombing stage, and they get you addicted to it so that you come chasing after them for it. And when you do, they look at you like, huh? What are you doing? Stop making a fool of yourself. Stop embarrassing yourself. They'll do that to you. And you will feel humiliated. You will feel cheap. and they just switch off. They make that conscious decision to switch off. And I get people asking me as well all the time. They say if a man child or a woman child, by the way, women do this as well to men, they will excessively love bomb you sexually and then switch it off. And then you end up chasing them like a puppy dog and they humiliate you for it. Okay, so it goes both ways. So the question that I usually get is it the narcissist's fault if they are emotionally stunted that makes them like this? No, it's not their fault. Everyone goes through childhood trauma. Everyone goes through difficulties in life. But I'll tell you something. A narcissist knows exactly what they're doing because they know how to act with different people. I've said this many times. Don't feel sorry for them because they're emotionally stunted, which makes them very childish. They know how to be an adult when they want to be an adult. They know how to be romantic when they want to be romantic. They know how to be loving, kind, caring, giving, because they know how to switch it on when they love bomb you. And they know how to be helpful to their neighbour, so their neighbour sees them as a good person. And they know how to be submissive and obedient to their employer because they want to keep their job. So why is it that when it comes to you, they don't know how to be any of those things? It's by choice. Yes, they are emotionally stunted. Yes, they have those issues. However, they aren't insane, right? They have not lost their minds so that they are a child with everybody. If they were emotionally stunted and it really was a disorder that they couldn't change, they would be like that with everyone in their life, including their employer and their sheikh and their teacher and their gym instructor. Do you think that they would last one day in their career if they acted with their employers and their colleagues the same way they act with you? No, they wouldn't. And they know that very well. So they know when to switch it on and switch it off. And they enjoy being victims. So they know they have immaturity issues. They know they lack emotional intelligence and all of that, but they don't want to work on it because being a victim serves them very well. Being childish, immature, careless, irresponsible, and reckless serves them. They get away with it. So if they're getting away with it, why would they change? And that's why they know they can't get away with it in the workplace, so they have to change. They have to respect the employer. They have to be on their best behaviour to keep their job. Because they know very well that if they do not respect their employer and do the work and be obedient and efficient and honest and all of these good things, then they'll be easily replaced with someone else. They know this. And that's why they make effort. So why is it that they don't make effort in their personal relationships? It's because you do not have the same standards as their employer. So if this person harasses someone in the workplace or they're caught smoking weed in the workplace, they'll be out immediately. The employer will not tolerate having anyone like that in their company. So narcissists tend to respect the rules because they know that there are boundaries of respect. So that's what you need to do in your personal lives. You need to establish boundaries of respect so that a narcissist can change. Because it's no excuse that they're emotionally stunted. Believe me when I tell you they know what they're doing. And they will just use their childhood traumas to make you feel sorry for them. They will tell you about their first love who cheated on them for you to work harder and make them happy and give them everything that they never had. This works for them. Okay, but when you put your foot down and you say no, we all had childhood traumas. We all had a difficult life, but we're making effort. If I can make effort, you can make effort to change and be a better person. You know, I went to therapy. You can go to therapy. You can do this. You can do that. You can learn about your disorder. You can learn about being emotionally stunted and get better. But the majority of narcissists don't want to because they want to get away with as much as possible because they are lazy people, right? They're lazy. They don't want to do the work. They want everyone to do the work for them. So that's why for them it's enough that they have to comply in the workplace. They don't want to comply anywhere else. Because in their eyes, they need control and power somewhere, and they want that to be in their home. So next question, and this one will be the final one because I am losing my voice, okay? And it's already 2 hours and 24 minutes into the podcast. So the question is, did the narcissist ever love me? And I'm going to answer this in the next podcast, inshallah, because it's a whole subject on its own. And it's an interesting one as well, because the answer isn't very straightforward. Okay, there are different answers to this. So inshallah, I will address it in the next one. So thank you for listening until now, if you are still with me. And thank you so much for your support. If you've written me a book review, if you've liked the podcast, if you've shared the podcast, thank you so much for helping me get this information out there to those who need it. And thank you for being a part of this YouTube community. And thank you also to everyone who shared their stories in comments, and for those who wrote really beautiful feedback. I see them all, and it really means a lot to me that you send me some lovely dua. So may Allah bless all of you, inshallah, for your kind words. I really do enjoy recording these for you, and I love how much they give you the closure, clarity and understanding that you've been looking for many years. So I know they're difficult to listen to, but I do hope you find comfort in knowing that you're not alone in your problems, and that inshallah there's hope for everyone to change and become better people. And if you need further help, you can reach out to me below. I've put my website link and my email for anyone who needs one-to-one counselling and coaching. So if you've got a specific case that you'd like help with, then do reach out to me, and inshallah we can work on it together. So I'll leave it at that, and until the next podcast, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.